The Discover Help Foundation presents Stress-Free Living with Ratanjit S. Sondhe. Here to share with you what he's learned from delivering keynote addresses to thousands of people around the world and his many books and articles through simple thoughts, timeless truth, divine wisdom, personal empowerment, and stress-free living for a joy-filled journey. And now, Stress-Free Living.
Hi, I'm George Fraser, CEO of FraserNet Incorporated, a global leadership network of 51,000 top Black professionals, business owners, and community leaders. Today, we bring you a very special program with a very good friend, Ratanjit Sondhe. We are going to talk about confidence today. Ratanjit has taught me that if you have a lot of confidence, it's probably a sign that you really don't have confidence. And in doing this kind of programming, it is very difficult to wrap your mind around what's necessary to make this look easy. It requires confidence, and I'm not really sure what confidence is or what it isn't. So we're going to talk to our good friend, have a lively and rich discussion about confidence. What is or what isn't confidence? How does it really work? How does it impact our lives? How does it help us to succeed at work, at home, and in the community? Ratanjit.
Well, George, confidence is a very complex subject. And what we consider confidence in the worldly sense, the person has a persona, they have typically, many people confuse it with ego. Many people see it with title, wealth, and all that. And that is where the confidence comes from, or it comes from experience. A lot of us say, well, I have done this, I'm confident enough to do it again. It is a routine thing, so I'm confident enough. So confidence by itself is based on crutches. The confidence we think in the worldly manner is based on crutches. Either you have to have a title, you have to have wealth, you have to have experience, you have to have education, you have to have all these things. It's supposed to give you confidence. But whereas, if you see the peak performer, the person who is world-renowned pianist, and he goes on the stage, and it is known until you have butterflies in your stomach, which is the absence of confidence.
That's right.
You don't perform as well. If you go there, and they call it overconfidence. Is there underconfidence, overconfidence, confidence? So we are really totally confused. The true confidence is your vulnerability as a child. If you have zero confidence, you are really confident. Now, what I'm saying is, when a performer completely has a butterfly, says, I don't know what I'm going to do, why I'm so nervous, I've done this before. They tap into the power that lies within us, power that surrounds us. And until you tap into that, you really cannot get the true confidence.
I tend to have confidence, Ratanjit, when I feel comfortable in an environment, when I have a grasp of what I'm doing. I'm more confident in a familiar, comfortable surrounding than when I'm in a new surrounding. Why is that?
Well, that's the worldly confidence, that I have done this, I'm going to be able to perform that. But that performance, George, will not be your peak performance.
Right.
To have a peak performance, you have to let go of the worldly confidence. You have to go back to your desire to seek power from within and surrounding you. And a lot of us do prayer, say, God, please make this happen. So you give charge to something else to gain that ultimate power, which make you rise above. If you want mediocre performances, those come from the worldly comfort zones.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I notice when I speak for a living, as you well know, and if I'm not a bit edgy, a bit nervous,
yes,
before I present myself to the audience,
you don't have another notch higher.
Yes, I do not give the kind of quality of speech that I do when I'm a bit edgy and a bit nervous, and not really know what I'm going to say every single moment. Now, I do have a little, roadmap of where I'm going, but I don't have every word planned out. And I get a better result. Yes. I mean, I do get I give a better speech. Yes. That's, fascinating to me, because most people think that in order to deliver the best that you have, it has to be totally practiced.
But see, you asked me initially, what is confidence? Now, there is another way to define what is confidence. Confidence is an outcome of a complete synchronization of all your faculties. You have three distinct faculties. Mm-hmm. One is our human system, mm-hmm. your eyes, your ears, and all that, this human body itself. And the second is your intellect, your brain power, mm-hmm. your data gathering instrument. And third is you. Most of us do not understand what is that real you. And until all these three things are completely synchronized, you don't have the true confidence. Mm-hmm. And that's where, when you get nervous, you go reach the real you within.
Yeah. I think we can observe that, for example, in an Oprah Winfrey, yes. who exudes enormous confidence on her couch. I think perhaps one of the reasons might be her total transparency. Yes. She is totally transparent. She brings that to her guest and to her stage, and she speaks out of herself.
Yes.
And that transparency connects with her audience, and that connection or energy gives her confidence, right. boosts her confidence. Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think ultimately our true confidence originates. If we connect to ourselves, because that entity which makes me me, which is the true me, is really the power within me, which is connected to the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Power, Supreme Intelligence. So that is the real confident entity. So unless I am connected to that and mm-hmm. I get that engaged, I will not have the true confidence. And that's where, at that stage, you are not afraid to be transparent.
Yes.
Being transparent is the ultimate confidence.
Right.
Because otherwise, I keep on giving acting. I keep on putting a face. I keep on protecting myself. Mm-hmm. The moment I don't need to protect myself, I'm the ultimate confident person.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be interested in knowing the strategic, tactical, moral, spiritual steps for building one's confidence so that one can give a more energized and truer performance in life. Performance meaning just communicating, effectively communicating and speaking with confidence from the heart and not keeping a mask on, because most of us wear a mask most of the day.
But that's insecurity.
Right.
Sure, this is opposite of confidence. People defend themselves with their ego, with their title, with their saying, no, they won't let people speak. They won't let people say certain things. In many corporations, you're not supposed to tell this to your customer. You're not supposed to say this to your employees. You're not supposed to tell this. So there are pockets of information which you can't reach because they're not transparent. They're not confident. Because if you are truly confident, you have nothing to hide.
Right. Transparency, though, that's I think it's difficult for most people because it can be revealing. Some people are embarrassed by what they perceive as their truth. They hide their truth. And I think it's a lot easier said than done. If it was easier done than said, then most people would not even be interested in this conversation. I think people are interested in this conversation because it's very hard to speak, as we say in our community, truth to power, to keep it real.
Yes.
Let's talk about how do we do that? How do we keep it real? What part of the inside of us must we touch or
how do we get there?
How do we get there? I think that would be a profoundly interesting conversation and would help a lot of people. So we're going to put a pin in this discussion, and pick it up in a minute or so. Hi, this is George Fraser. We're picking up our second part of our conversation with Ratanjit about confidence, an extremely important subject, one that I think most people would really like to have some insight, Ratanjit, on how to build confidence. What's the structure of confidence so that we can use it to succeed in life, at work, at home, and in the community? What is the structure? This whole idea of transparency it seems to me to be the foundation, the cornerstone of confidence. Yes. Expand on that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, see, George, confidence is understood by people. If you are a very confident salesperson, you can sell. If you are a confident person, people will believe you. Now, when I started my business, I was basically a scientist. I came here to do my PhD, and I started my chemical business. And looking at my qualifications and my attire, and my banker, my attorneys, the business consultant would say, Ratanjit, look, you're not a salesman. You're not a businessman. You are a scientist. Mm-hmm. So you can't sell. You can't, nobody's going to. But I was able to generate 90+% of my company's sale myself.
Why?
Because I was completely open and honest. I would tell my customer first what my product won't do, rather than what my product does.
Right.
And answer their question, invite the questions, and I was basically there to serve. It's not about confidence or not confidence. It was basically, in my way of thinking, I am completely immersed in adding the value to my customer. And that gave me all what I needed to deliver. So the real confidence is that. Real confidence, if you focus on confidence, you will not have the confidence. Life's mystery is whatever you chase doesn't get to you. If you are chasing money,
right,
you'll never get it.
You'll never get it.
If you are chasing confidence, you'll never get it. Confidence, the purpose of confidence is that people will believe me. That's the purpose of confidence, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Confidence is that I will be able to do my job. Purpose of confidence is that I will be able to serve my customer. Mm-hmm. Or if you are a speaker, you will be able to deliver a very engaging message, right? Mm-hmm. So that's your purpose. That's where you need confidence to do that.
Right. You hear that expression all the time. People have confidence in you.
Yeah.
What does that really mean, though? People have is it they know that you will be transparent? They know that you will deliver. They know that you will that you are an expert in whatever your subject matter is. When a person has confidence in you, or how do you get people to have confidence?
So there are two sides.
Yeah.
Either people have confidence in you, or you have confidence to deliver. Those two kind of different areas. People would have confidence in you if you are trustworthy. People will have confidence in you if they can trust you, if they can believe you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where their confidence will come. Reliability. Ethics is basically reliability. Right?
Right.
So if you buy a gadget and whatever it promises to do, if it does, then you have confidence in that gadget. If it doesn't, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have no confidence in that gadget.
Is it possible then for people to have confidence in you for whatever you exude as a human being, but you have little or no confidence in yourself? Are they diametrically opposed? Is that possible?
Well, the confidence in myself sometimes throw people away. People don't want to come back, and many times it comes out as arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be very careful. If that confidence ever gets translated into arrogance, in fact, if I am very humble, I'm very approachable, and I answer questions with respect, I would deliver whatever I'm marketing or selling or serving much easier. I'm not intimidating people.
Define for me answering a question truthfully, transparently. Because again, this is at the core of people connecting with you and ultimately having trust in you.
I can't answer something very truthfully if I'm afraid of losing my face, if I'm afraid of losing my business, if I'm afraid of letting myself down, then I'm going to dance around it like a politician.
Yes.
Right?
Right. This is why people don't trust politicians or have confidence in politicians for the most part. Right.
But with confidence, politicians, when they stand and speak, they can speak for hours. Is that confidence? I think it's lack of confidence. If your message is not crystal clear, and if you cannot deliver some message in a short period of time, you're dancing around it. You can say something for 2 hours, speak for 2 hours without saying anything. Right?
Right.
That's absence of confidence.
Right.
Because you're not able to speak what you really want to say. You're dancing around it.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that. I mean, that is probably the norm.
Right.
In what we see in many professions that engage us either in the selling proposition, the political proposition, in many cases the business proposition at one level or another. But being transparent, again, I think is a lot easier said than done. I don't know if most people have the confidence to be transparent. I mean, quite frankly, I know it's connected and at the foundation of confidence, but would it be fair to say that most people are really hiding something?
Well, we are always afraid to lose. Our whole mission of life, if it is not clearly understood, then we are going to mislead ourselves. If my mission of life is to become famous or rich or wealthy or collect things, and I'm running after all these things, not realizing my only and true mission is to add the highest value in every transaction. So if I focus on that, then automatically my confidence comes from that focus, because I'm focusing on adding the highest value. When I meet somebody, now how do I add the highest value? Now that is a different focus than how do I make myself look good? Okay? to make myself look good means I'm insecure. I have to constantly lift myself to make people realize I'm a great person. And then I have to tell them all my stories, what I have done. I have to bring all my medals and trophies in front of them. Say, look, this is who I am. I'm a great guy. Right? But if my focus is to make a difference, to add value, then I don't need all that. And the impression I will create is much more lasting. That person would go because we have done something to them. I have treated them with respect. So the ingredient, the qualities you will see, where you see true confidence, is tremendous amount of respect in that person.
Yes.
Very high intensity to listen rather than speak. Because in order for me to add value, I must at least know how do I add value. I must listen to you. I must listen to people. So the high degree of listening is indicator of the true confidence in me. And that only comes from my focus. So if I am focused on adding the highest value, I automatically would have the confidence. I automatically would have the transparency. Automatically all these things will fall into place.
Yes.
By just making one thing right. It doesn't take 10 years to do that. It's take a split second to arrive at that understanding that my mission in life is to add the highest value. Now, George, all our successes are based on that.
Yes. You taught me many years ago that the purpose of life is to love, to give, to serve, and to add value to somebody or something. That is really the foundation of why we are here.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing you say is, even in an everyday conversation, in the simplest engagement that we have with another human being, that the constant thought in our mind must be, how can I add value?
I should not even open my mouth
unless I'm adding value. Let's pick up on that and expand on that, because that's at the foundation of what we're talking about. Thank you. Hi, this is George Fraser with the next part of our discussion on confidence with Ratanjit. Ratanjit, we left the conversation prior to this expanding on the thought of loving, giving, serving, and adding value in every interaction at every moment in time, every engagement. Is really the cornerstone and the foundation of confidence. Expand on that. It was a very important idea when you expressed it to me several years ago.
Well, see, it's what happens is your whole faculties, as I mentioned in an earlier segment, your human body and your intellect and the real you, they only buy into this thought process of adding value. That's the only time all three are working together. And to gain confidence, you must have all three on the same page. So when you are adding value, because that is the mission of true you, because the true you knows that the same divine force which exists in me exists in you. And that is where we all become one. So just like this hand is attached to this human body, what is its role and purpose? Is to serve this human body, right? Unconditionally, without asking any questions.
Right.
So similarly, for me and for you, for everyone else, if this vision is very clear that I'm part of this bigger one, I'm not a separate entity, all our dishonesty, all our lack of confidence, all our problems originate from this misperception that I'm a separate entity. See, these eyes, whatever they see, transfer that information to our system without any adulteration. They never lie.
And we have confidence in our eyes that are seeing exactly what we.
We have confidence.
We know what it's seeing. We have confidence in that, right?
Now, why? Because these eyes have no misperception. They are part of this bigger one.
Right.
But so if we knew this, that I am part of you, and you are part of me, and we are all part of the same one, that dishonesty suddenly disappears.
Mm-hmm. And confidence appears.
And transparency happens. Otherwise, we keep on saying it is hard to practice. It will be very difficult, almost impossible to practice transparency, complete transparency, until you are in this oneness thought process. Absence of oneness thought process, what is in it for me is going to force you to modify information, is going to force you to present a face which is not yours. It's going to force you to cause always a situation which is favoring you or favoring somebody else versus others. So we segregate the society.
Yes, which is really the story of how we live most of our life.
Right.
Because most of us are not taught this, quite frankly. I mean, we don't live our lives this way. And we don't live our lives this way because we're not taught to live this way.
We don't go that far.
Right.
All our life, actually, we are trained the other way around. A child comes in and says, look, you are on your own.
Right.
You are a separate entity. We drum that thing into a child. And as the child grows, you have to be successful at the cost of anything. So success means that you have to gather this wealth, you have to gather these trophies. That's what your success. And then what happens to us? We end up with midlife crisis. At that end, it says, is this all there is? You have Mercedes parked in your backyard, you have this huge house, and you have all this wealth, but still, you're miserable. Mm-hmm. Because you're going against the very thing you are. You have not integrated within yourself.
What role does ego or superego play in confidence?
Well, it's a very good question, George. Ego is like darkness. Now, define darkness. Mm-hmm. What is darkness? Mm-hmm. It's merely absence of light.
Right.
So ego is absence of truth. The truth is that we are all one. Mm-hmm. If that truth is absence, you will have segregation. Mm-hmm. And under that segregation, it is ego.
Is some ego needed, though, to prop you up, to
It's like saying, do we need some lies in our life?
Right.
So ego is an untruth. So do we need the thing which is just a facade, which is in absence of light? Now, if you declare war against darkness, you bring guns and you bring the most sophisticated tool to fight darkness. You can't fight it because it's not there. It's merely absence of something. How can you fight something which is not even there?
Not even there, right.
So ego is nothing. It's really absence of the truth that we are all one. Mm. Now, this human body, does any part has ego? If left hand and right hand, both given brain, you install a chip. Mm-hmm. So now this hand can think on its own, this hand can think on its own. Mm-hmm. Both will have ego. He said, when you are supposing right-handed, so you're coming out of rain with shopping and all the bags are there in both hands. So this hand shift all the bags in the left hand. He says, no, I'm not going to carry it. Mm-hmm. Why can't I open the key and you carry the bags? Mm-hmm. So then you can't.
You'd have conflict. Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's what happens. We have been given brain, which is able to see this human body as separate. Look, you are sitting there, you are a separate entity, you have a separate heart, you have separate kidneys, you are a separate person. So how is Ratanjit saying that we are all one? But it's like this light bulb. This light bulb is separate than this light bulb.
Right.
But when it is lit, George, is the same power which connects this light bulb, the same power which connects this light bulb, and it is live coming from the powerhouse. It's the same exact electricity.
From a spiritual and let's even say religious perspective, is this expressed in much of the spirituality that's taught in the modern world today, or in religions across the spectrum?
It's a very good question, George. Religions are all man-made. And their purpose is simply that just like if I want to learn chemistry, I go in a man-made university.
Right.
And that's an institution. And they're supposed to teach me what is chemistry. But when I go there, instead of focusing on chemistry, I focus on recruiting people and hating people of the other university. I'll completely waste my time. So to join a religion, there is only one purpose. And the purpose is to understand and learn and practice spirituality. And spirituality, in its smallest definition, is absence of duality. When two stops to exist and there is only one, means you have to disappear and there is only one God. And you see God in George, God in everyone. If you want to speak the religious language, it is the same power. You call it supreme power, you call it God, and that is who you are serving when you are serving another human being. How else do you serve God?
Right.
So that is who you are. So this human body, when I get up in the morning, I should see the divinity present in it and bow to it. Not that I am God, but what makes me alive is the presence of that power in me. And the same thing makes you alive. So that's what makes us one. And that's why I need to add the highest value. That's how I serve God.
Right. You serve the one.
Serve the one.
Right.
And once you are on that path, ego has no room. Ego is my separate entity because I'm operating in oneness. And suddenly, there is no place for ego.
Yeah. I think from a utopian standpoint, that would be the optimum, that kind of teaching.
Actually, that's the most practical path. You see, what happens is, we call it, well, this cannot be done, Ratanjit. You know why we cannot do it? Because we want to hold on to this baggage of ours, which is all false.
Right.
We don't want to leave that because we have built all our life around this falsehood. And going there is very scary. So what is going to happen to me?
Let's put a pin in that because we are constantly taught that one is better than the other. Right. I think that also undermines the whole idea of confidence. We'll be back. Hi, this is George Fraser with the final part of our series on confidence with Ratanjit. We left the last part of the conversation as sort of a cliffhanger. We are taught that one is better than the other. And then we aspire to either making mine better than yours, and instead of seeing it all as contributing to a one. And when we don't achieve this mine is better than yours, this has a tendency to erode our confidence. Speak on this idea of teaching one is better than the other and how it undermines.
See, from the same paradigm, we generally want to have a role model in our life so we can follow them. We don't realize this entity has very special talent and gifts which are parked here to add the value, highest value. So I am an original masterpiece in one sense, part of the same one. And I have to find those highly special talents within me, which will allow me to add highest value.
How do you go about doing that? We're now talking about purpose.
Yeah, purpose.
Unique purpose.
So you really have to constantly put yourself in that mindset of this circumstance. How do I add the highest value? How do I add the highest value? If you keep on asking this question, this brain, which is given to us, is an extremely powerful tool. It will eventually figure it out. And you become very good at it. And in certain area, you are better, obviously, than other areas. So those are the areas of your focus to add the highest value. You will unveil your own clearly defined talents within you. And then you constantly learn more. You polish those talents from learning, from understanding from others. Because now you are not afraid to go to anyone to ask, how do you, because it'll help you to add the highest value. Your motive is very clear to add the highest value.
I notice two things. I'm most confident when I'm most transparent and when I am doing that which gives me the greatest fulfillment, the greatest joy, and the greatest satisfaction.
Right. That comes from adding the highest value.
Right. That's, in fact, how I add.
How you add the value.
The highest value.
Right.
And when those things are in alignment, I feel worthy and confident. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, the thing is this, that most of us are we have lived a life. We have gathered a lot of garbage, so we, to begin with, either are parked in past, what happened in my glory, or remember when old friends get together, they sit about, oh, we used to do this and we used to do that. That's not adding value.
Right.
Guys? Yeah, sure. For temporary, it's like having a sugar pill. So it gives you a temporary high.
Right.
But it's not adding value. Or we are constantly worried about future. Value adding only happens in the present. If we are either parked in past or lost in the future, we cannot add value. For us to add value, we must stay in the present. And to stay in the present, George, it is very important to accept how the cards are dealt with. Because you are going to add value through those present situations. Whatever positions you are placed in, you are definitely able to add value. A lot of our friends listening to this, they say, well, look, I don't have the money to add value. I can't give to charity. So we are mentally blocked that adding value means giving somebody. Adding value it means...
I hear that all the time.
Making
a contribution.
A
financial contribution.
Financial contribution, one way or other. So we all tie in. But that has nothing to do with adding value. You can add value to a human being by a simple smile.
Right.
You can add value to a human being by asking, listening to them, understanding them. Because each position, while you are adding value, is also disclosing how do you add more value. Both things are happening simultaneously.
So we're running out of time. This is profoundly interesting, a rich discussion. Let's try to leave our audience with 3 or 4 things in your mind. Things that they can do right now that would contribute to their sense of confidence, everyday confidence. If you were to prescribe, you are the pharmacist here, talking about confidence. What would be your prescription? What can we leave our audience with?
I'll give them a cup of tea.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of your books. Right.
Well, actually, the first fundamental of this confidence is the truth. If you have not embarked and begin to live the truth, nothing will happen. Neither the confidence will happen, nor the success will happen, nor the relationship will happen. Your life would be miserable.
Yes, so speak out of your truth.
Well, not that. I'm talking about a fundamental truth. Embarking on oneness.
Got it.
That is the truth.
Right.
If you do not know the truth about you, who you are, then everything else is not going to make any difference.
I see.
So now, once that truth is lived by you, that you are one with George, you are everyone, you see another human being, and you immediately bypass their color, their age, their persona, which is worldly acquired persona, and penetrate right into the truth, which is the power within them, which is the same as you. And now your reverence is there for that power, because that is flawless power.
Yes.
Otherwise, we keep on respecting things in people. So, oh, he speaks well and he's got success. He made so much money. So what? He's arrogant. So we value things, worldly things, but we miss out the flawless thing which exists in every single human being, which is the divine power.
Right.
So once
that's one. That's number one.
That's number one.
The foundation. Right.
If that foundation is there, rest is all useless.
Right. We are one.
Now, once that happens, then it gives me my purpose. My now purpose is, just like these hands, if I took away all the brain power from these fingers and my nose and my eyes, and now they are basically one, so they know they have to serve this human body.
Right.
My purpose of each of my limbs is to serve this body. So similarly, my purpose, knowing that oneness, is to serve that oneness present everywhere. So now, how do I serve that?
Yes.
Now that's where the brain is given to us. That's where we go take the education. That's where we learn. So we have to constantly ask this question.
Right.
How do I add highest value? How do I serve? And the answer would slowly start coming. Evolve.
It's like tuning a radio station, and you want to get a certain radio station. You have to keep tuning it until you get that frequency. Right. So you keep asking the question.
Keep asking the question.
Okay.
And the third thing is very important. Is old habit is I'm either miserable because what happened to me and this happened, and I'm mourning, or I'm looking afraid or looking forward to this future and all that. So I'm never in the present. So you have to operate in the present to be able to add the highest value, or you're not going to be able to do that. So oneness, purpose, and remaining in the present.
In the present at all times.
At all times.
Right.
So as a byproduct of these three practices, you will be always very honest. You'll be always in demand, because you are looked upon as a value-adding entity.
Right.
Even if you go to a party, you add value to that.
Right.
Even if you are invited in a funeral, you add value to that.
Right.
So you're always adding value.
Right.
And you are always in the present. You take whatever situation is, and you park yourself there.
Right. Be in the moment. In the moment.
And the best way to stay there is when you get up in the morning, George, look in the mirror and look at this human body and admire this human body, which is gifted to you. But see beyond that, the power within this human body, and bow to that. That reminds you of your oneness.
Wow. This has been a rich discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are a life changer. God bless you.
Thank you.
Stress-Free Living is a Discover Help presentation. Copyright 2011, Ratanjit S. Sondhe. Discover Help, all rights reserved. Discover Help, the power is within you.